So what's the difference between a melody and a riff? That was a question posed to me by a friend of mine today, and I thought I'd make a video just to answer that question. So I guess the best definition of a melody that I've received is actually from one of my students who is only 7 years old. And her theory is that a melody is simply a scale that's mixed up. I think a good example is, let me just play for you the A major scale. Yeah, so according to my student, one of the best definitions of a melody is just a scale that's mixed up. And to help show you, I have here a set of flashcards, and I've just written the notes of the A major scale on about 16 flashcards. The notes are A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A. And then I'll shuffle them. Great. And then I'm just going to put them out on the table in a random order here. There's C sharp, G sharp, G sharp, A, B, F sharp, D, C sharp, E, F sharp, B, E, A, and D. So if I play these notes in a order that was randomly generated just by shuffling a bunch of cards, you'll see it still sounds pretty melodious. And I'm just going to set up a loop here to set up an A major chord behind us, so we'll have some harmony. And I'll show you how that sounds. So here's our melody, and I'm going to play it just in the half note rhythm. Not too bad. We could make it sound a little bit more sophisticated if we add rhythms. I'm going to mix in some mix of quarter notes, half notes, and eighth notes, and you'll see that the melody will actually become quite a bit more sophisticated sounding, as if we took a lot of time to compose a melody. Not too bad. Okay, so that's a melody, and that was sort of a more avant-garde melody. Other examples of mixing up in a major scale, if you do mostly half-eighth notes and 16th notes, you could get a melody generated sort of like the melody of Bach. I'm just going to freely mix up them up in my head here. And so on and so on. Okay, so that's a melody. So now on to riffs. So what's a riff? Riff is a term used by improvising musicians to describe these little melodies that are usually between 3 or 5 notes long, and they're used like words. I guess the way to think about it is that when people improvise, you could generate music material from your deep knowledge of music theory, similar to how we just generated a melody mixing up the notes of the A major scale. Or you could use a more what they call vocabulary-based approach to improvisation. Like we're having this conversation now in this video. And I'm not really generating the words from scratch by mixing up letters and trying to communicate that way. I have memorized in my vocabulary several hundred to 1,000 words, and I just string them together so that I can talk to you. And so people who improvise, they have a similar thing. And so riffs are little micro melodies, as I mentioned, that were 3 to 5 notes long. And let me play you one, just so you can see an example. This is one that I took from a recording of Stefan Grappelli in the gypsy jazz style. So that would be an example of a riff. And if you look carefully, there's 2 parts to this riff. There's a long note, and then there's a more wiggly part of the riff. And together we have this little interesting micro melody. Great. And to use these riffs in a song when we're speaking amongst other musicians, you have to sort of be able to transpose these little sentences into different keys. Like, I just played it in a key that would be good with the D minor scale. And if I wanted to use this same musical word in some context where a lot of A was being played, A minor, I might move it over to a different string and play it on a different string. Right? And then, or if I had to do it in E key, the key of E, I might have to even add some other fingers. Great. So when we were all in elementary school, we used to have these vocabulary tests that our elementary school teacher would give us, and then you'd have to memorize the word, memorize its definition, and use it in a sentence. So now I'm going to show you how I would use this riff in a sentence. And to do that, let me first set up some harmony in the gypsy jazz style, so I'll have some backing tracks. Sure. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so first I'm going to use the riff pretty simply so that you can hear it in an audible way. And I'm going to do it in a different key, but the same riff. So now I'm going to only use the fast part of the riff. And now I'll just use the long note. Okay, so now I'm going to combine the 2 ideas that we've seen in this video. I'm going to use my knowledge of music theory to generate some musical ideas just by mixing up the notes of the scales that I know are involved in this musical excerpt, similar to a fashion that we did in the first exercise where we mixed up the indented cards. And then I'm also going to try to use the musical vocabulary that we just learned, this lick. And I'm going to use it 3 ways. I'm going to use just the long note way, just the short note, and the lick also in its entirety. Okay. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So, in a nutshell, that's the difference between a melody and a riff. Hope this was helpful. Talk to you soon.